and gentlemen, today we are looking at the WeTech AEG F17 F18 system, which is a replica of the system that is being adopted by pretty much every armed force on Earth at the moment. And that is due to Sig Sauer underbidding the shit out of every other manufacturer. So that's led to some pretty divided opinions in the gun community. Now, I'm going to try not to ramble too much in this video. Obviously, doing the proper tech videos, they do have a longer runtime for the full teardown. So at the beginning, we'll do a close-up, we'll have a bit of a look, and I'll tell you what I do and do not like about the system, and then we will get into our full teardown. So we'll have a look at all the parts and give it a work over. Yeah? Let's do it. So, what do I like and not like about this system? The main thing, it is ridiculously snappy. Almost on par, or it is very, very close to the M9 in terms of snappiness. It is shockingly snappy. It is snappy enough that I started smacking the Chrono the very first time I tested these, overcompensating for how hard that kick is. Now, it's not fair for me to show you that. I do want to show you both systems. So there is a difference between these two systems. They are all the exact same lower components, but with a different BBU and nozzle setup. The M18 has a standard G-series type setup, so a full-sized, oversized G-series type BBU and nozzle with cup piston, and the M17 has a 17 RMR setup, which is the half-size nozzle with the piston at the bottom of the nozzle on a spring to accommodate your RMR plate setup, which I do not like MOS systems. It's the exact same with the G19X standard versus MOS. You're always going to get reduced FPS from an MOS system. And I am a snob, so I will opt for the full-sized nozzle system. I will say, WeTech have done a very good job with, they've basically perfected the 17 RMR setup with this system, and you basically have a 10 FPS difference between these two models. So, what do I like? I like the snappiness. I do like how it feels in the hand. So you do have that grippy chunkiness to it, but without the pants dragging down heft of my beloved M9. They are a lot more field usable and 1000% more holsterable just for general plinking, general use, just overall. So what don't I like about these? I do not like the trigger. Let's actually have a look. So I think there's probably going to be a few guys that disagree with me here, but I am a fan of double action triggers. I don't know what it is. It's not a double action, so therefore I don't like it. But in use, it is a very consistent experience using that trigger. I think a few of you guys are going to agree with me with the travel on the trigger. So I'm not a speedy boy. I don't like your super duper, you know, nanometer movement for sear disconnecting. But I feel that this has a massive amount of travel on the trigger. Or it could just be me. So let's have a look at that reset. Look at that reset. So I don't know about me, but that seems overly... Feels like there's a lot of distance there to cover. And me personally, I'm, yeah, very much not a fan of that trigger. Although, bear in mind, I like the P99 trigger. And I know how much people dislike that trigger. Yeah, so take my trigger preferences with a grain of salt there. So, overall, I think this is a viable Glock replacement. It's not too flashy, it doesn't have too many dingly-dangly bits, and to be honest, if you close your eyes, it's almost like holding a Gucci, you know, P80 build G-Series. That's exactly what it feels like to me. Just with a trigger I'm not particularly a fan of, but I am warming up to it. It is a really nice little system overall. So, we want to have a look at the insides. I think that's what we're all here for. A full disassembly and my thoughts on overall engineering. I really like this system. So, yeah, let's pull him apart. You can go up here. Now, the first thing you are going to notice, pulling this little guy apart, is they are completely, I've polished this obviously, but they are completely different from the previous iterations in terms of quality. Ooh. This frame is ridiculously nice quality. Now, overall... Oh, come on. This thing, to me, screams an over-engineered, or sorry, a absolute peak perfection G-Series device. I'm getting into it. I'm not even going to spoil it to the end. I actually think these are probably going to be a really decent Glock replacement. And the best thing about it, even compared to a Glock, a Glonk, due to licensing issues, Glonks, it is such an easy disassembly. Wow! You know what? I am going to use this little guy. Yeah, I was very, very apprehensive on these things at first, but after having a play around with it, I'm very, very much a fan of these systems. There's our little screw. And again, WeTech and their little attention to detail, which I really, really like. Woo. So there was, actually, I'm going to show you that. I don't know about you guys, but out of the box, I found this little shell ejector thingamabobby. It's not going to focus, is it? Hang on. Let's make him focus. Yeah, okay. I found that was a bit loosey-goosey stock. So, what I did... So, it's pushed in by the BBU. That just sits in there. It's held in there by the BBU. So, what I did is I actually chucked a little smidgen of metal epoxy on there. So, you've only got, you know, 0.2, 0.3 mil sort of worth of extra material there. And while it was setting, I pushed this little guy in, and then clip the BBU in, which just makes it hold nice and tight. So there's your first Danny tip, which I really don't think I have many overall tips for this system. It's basically a it's the final evolution of the Glock, but at some point one of their uncles was an M9. The nozzle system, a little bit thicker than a standard G series, so I do appreciate that. It is a really, really tough nozzle. Yeah, alright, I forgot about this little guy. In typical WeTech fashion, as we can see here, we have a cup style piston, which Danny is not a fan. Where the hell did that go? There we go. Danny is not a fan of the cup pistons. I understand their overall purpose, and longevity-wise, yes, you're going to get longer out of a cup style, and they are better for higher FPS systems. They're never going to be as consistent as an O-ring style. It just is what it is. So that's our BBU. That's our nozzle. And we've even got a standard G-series high kappa type valve in there, which I don't want to pull them apart. It's just a standard nozzle. I think the thing that everyone is here for is this bad bitch. Lower kiff. It is... I can hate... Even if I hated these things, which overall I really did before I started actually having a play with it, and it won... They won me over a little bit, maybe. No matter what you want to say about this system, disassembly is super duper easy. So let's get into it. It is as simple as nothing holding this in. The thing holding it in is actually attached to the frame. So slide pin. Frame screw, and she's ready to rock and roll. And that is our entire blaster replica device. It is a little bit weird looking at it at first, just because there's a few new concepts for movement on certain parts, but once you have a look at them, I think a few of you guys are going to... it's a really well engineered system. So how do I want to do the disassembly? Do I want to show you a full... Yeah. Let's do a full teardown. So the main point of any of these videos, I think for most people watching for a teardown, is so you can see how components are as they come out, and put them back together properly. So I'm going to take this little guy off first. And then I'm going to show you guys some of the weirdness. So we do have a weird hybridish M9-ish type trigger here. Trigger bar lever. Now, this is where we get into the new. So, everything has to be ambi. Even though I'm a lefty shooter, I'm just used to manipulating right hand only stuff with the left hand. So this makes no difference to me, and I don't use it. That ambi slide lock is, well, held in with this little bar. Now our thumb safeties. These are another thing I don't think I'm a fan of these, this thumb safety type. So I want to see some different types of these. I think if they're going to be this low profile, go even lower. Don't even have the flanges on them. Just have like a little bit of a nub on each side for us to flick. That's just my thoughts. Yeah, I very much... I don't like Gucci stuff, but I do appreciate a nice balance with things. Okay, so our thumb safeties are in weirdly compared to most stuff, I guess. So this is actually a bar that just goes through, and all that the locking mechanism actually does is gets in the way of this bar, stops that bar pulling the seal. Yeah, it's a really, really simple setup. It's really effective, and I actually very much like it. Now, the other weird thing is, I think I'm going to need my pokey pointy for this one. So, is that going to focus? As opposed to a spring and a D10 constantly clipping into the metal frame and wearing it down over time, our thumb safety actually has the clip-in parts on itself, and a small spring on the frame is what gives you your, tactile click-in feel as you move it into safe and fire. So another really interesting concept, and I think it might be well, as opposed to replacing an entire slide, you're replacing one little piece. So as an engineer, I think that is really, really cool. But we'll see longevity wise. Is it going to wear out quicker? Is it more cost effective? We shall see. Don't think they've been in service long enough to well, obviously they've been in service long enough for people to make grenade memes about them. Okay. Cool. Alright. Next up is our little... So this is what actually gives us... I should have explained this. This is what gives us tension on our takedown pin. So you can see there's an angle on that. I'm not even focused right now, am I? Focus. Yeah. The angle on that pin on the back end is what... It's not going to let me put him in now. Yeah. Now that I've taken him out. God damn it. Nope. Come on. So this bar here actually provides tension on our takedown pin. I had to put it in to show you. And this bar gets its tension from the reverse of the hammer spring. Now, I'm really iffy on that. Is that... Well, is that taking away overall tension from our strike? I don't know. And longevity-wise, what does that mean? Yeah, so basically, this little bar, its entire purpose is to provide tension to our takedown bar. And he will come out if I... But unfortunately, there we go. So, that is actually, that spring there is actually the reverse of the hammer spring. There we go. Just really interesting design, and I think that's probably... they obviously have some really, really, really good engineers putting this stuff together in terms of overall function, and I think that's probably the... that's not going to wear out. I don't know if that is over-engineering or brilliance. Very much that entire bar could be replaced with a spring and a pin. So, well, yeah, time will tell. And the other interesting thing here is they very much make use of the frame itself, which I forget. They very much, no, other way. They make use of the frame in and of itself, in that the frame is holding part of our valve knocker release spring. So it's not even held on the hammer set. That will that's just loose in there and will come out when we pull him out. Okay, so one pin and a two pin. Now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. So this is gonna be annoying as fuck. So this is the blaster. This thing is ridiculously good quality. Now I don't know what kind of alloy it is. It's not stainless, obviously. But I had to use stainless compound on it to be able to polish it. So my normal aluminium polish from Mr. Adams, so which I use on 99% of components, bar things like stainless, would not bring up a nice finish on this, whatever the hell this ridiculously strong alloy is. I had to use the green stuff, the stainless, the grey and the green. Just a ridiculously good frame. So you can chill there for a sec. Alright. Yeah, and our valve knocker spring is held in by that little ledge on the frame itself. Actually, you can sit up here, because I guess we're going to start with our reassembly with you. So, valve knocker spring. Hammer's just going to come out. Valve knocker. Let's have a look at this little... Oh. Even the valve knocker and the sear are like a modified G-series setup. But I don't... this, again, is one of those things... they actually have a... It is similar to the G-series, but it uses two separate springs. So it uses... it has its own spring for the sear, and it has its own spring for the valve knocker pullback, which is a lot better overall, but it's a little bit fiddly on the reassembly, which you're going to see when we try and put it back together. So let's have a look at that valve knocker. Look at that little sucker. Yeah. Little chunky boy. This is our hammer. So that loaded into our set, that spring on the bottom is what sits in the frame and gives us tension to our takedown pin bar. Which I don't know. You guys tell me. Is that going to be better or worse, longevity-wise? Alright, the annoying bit. Let's take out these little guys. It's going to be annoying. So I'm going to try and pull this out. So we can actually see what we're doing. Or it's a good reference for reassembly. The spring on the right side, if we're looking at it on the back, is our valve knocker pullback spring. So that one has to be sitting on the left of the seal. The sear can come out. And then the sear spring, and I think that's what I had most difficulty with on our reassembly, was getting these little guys in. And that is our hammer frame. Just a really nice, very, very decent quality frame. Just a well-engineered system overall. I think it is the final evolution of the Glonk, and we're probably going to be seeing a hell of a lot more of these over the next few years as people adopt this system. Wow, what don't I like about the hammer set? So I have seen a lot of hate online, a few people having standard G-series problems of sear wearing down or hammer wearing down, and they go into full auto. Those are standard G-series problems, guys. If you have a shitty, untuned device and you go use and abuse it, you're going to run into random issues like that. Obviously, me polishing the crap out of everything and tuning the shit out of everything, I haven't run into that issue yet, but I do very much see it as a standard G-series issue. It's just a ridiculously well-designed hammer set. Every interaction. So the main problem with the G-series, the current G-series hammer set, is it's all based off Tokyo Marui standard. So there are a lot of things that people just have zero concept or understanding of in terms of pressures, timings, the force that's being used to release X amount of pressure to get X amount of movement. Basically, the standard G-series setups that everyone is using at the moment are all based off the Tokyo Marui standard, which is designed to... every component in the hammer set was designed around dusty gas pressures. Which means the length of the valve knocker, the size of the valve knocker release for the timing of the release, all of the tensions, just putting a stronger spring into a hammer set, yes, it may hit the valve knocker harder, but there are so many other variables coming into play there. How long is that valve knocker being held on that valve at that pressure after hitting before it's released? And that's due to the sizing and the tension on the valve knocker release, the sizing and shape of the valve knocker. There's just so many things. From what I can tell, playing around with this system, all of our timings are set up for high power gases. So this is just the absolute peak of what we would want out of a G-series device. And even though you'll never see me using a 17 RMR, they have, for this to be getting, instead of a 40-50 FPS loss like you get with the normal standard G-series versus G-series MOS, to be getting a 10 FPS difference between the MOS, the MOS and non-MOS versions, to me is I'll happily recommend these if you want a system to run sights on for dry fire and training. Yeah, they have done a brilliant job with this system overall. So, I think it's time to put it back together now that I've stripped everything down. This is the most annoying bit, I think. So, yeah, I think we're going to assemble him first. Oh, God. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe... We want to put one spring in first. I have to get him. Like, you mother thing. I don't know. Am I allowed to swear now? Is YouTube cool with that? I don't trust anything the big streamers say, except Charlie. Oh, wrong way. After we get this little guy in, it is all smooth sailing from here, folks. All smooth sailing. You know what? I think I actually recall just putting it in, putting the pin in, and then flicking the spring on. So we can give that a go first. I think that is what I did, actually. Yeah. You go, Danny. No. Like that. Like a glove. Okay, so, new rule. When we're installing our sear, just put it in and then clip the front of the spring into its little notch. I will definitely forget that for next time. Ooh, please don't flick out. Like that, you piece of shit. Okay. This little guy. Wedge into the side here. Now we can badoink this guy in. Nice and tight. There we go. Okay, next up. Monsieur Valve Knocker. Whoop. So we're not going to clip him on. That's a really bad idea. I do remember trying to do that the first time I put him back together. So we're going to sort of rest our valve knocker there. It will fall through if you don't sort of hold it with your fingy on the bottom like I'm doing. Our springy boy, our hammer, our main spring, which, well, I've got him apart. A little bit more tension. A little bit. Which is weird on this system, because the more tension you put on the hammer, the tighter our little thing is held in, whatever. I don't think it matters. I think I'm just bitching about it. Woo. So, we sort of have to, get our valve knocker in the middle, and then our spring is gonna sit in his little spot like that. So what I like to do is use my little pokey tool, get it in halfway, get it in, and then this little guy. Again, can clip in. Yeah, a bit more tension. So now we can, do not forget, we can clip our valve knocker. We can clip our spring into the back of the valve knocker. So you're gonna have to pull your hammer down to do that. And then push your valve knocker up with your fingy. And then, whoop, I've got him. Ta-da. So, unlike A, this is where our sort of mashup reverse happens. Unlike a G series, where it is pushing, in a G series, your sear is tensed forwards like that. In this one, the sear is tensed backwards like this. So in a G series, you have to push the sear off in this beautiful, almost M9-ish double action, almost setup. You have to pull the sear forward to release it. I think that's better overall, engineering wise. I don't know. Only time will tell. So, got a valve knocker, locker release, valve knocker, locker release spring. All words, all things, all words and terminologies made up. I can make up whatever words I want for them. They're all part numbers on a sheet. I can call them whatever I want. So yeah, you'll notice there is nowhere for that spring to clip in. You just sort of have to hold it. Oh, I am the wrong way. And sort of just is held in by the frame, which is kind of cool. Just utilizing any and all space we have available. And to be honest, using this frame is better quality metal than every single other part of the blaster. So you may as well just use it for a resting point for other bits of metal. Okie dokie. So, nope, wrong bar. Correct bar. Look, they both have hooky points on them. You can't blame me. They look similar out of the, off to the side. Okay, so you sort of want to position this guy, well, over the slot, and then you need to get it in here first. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to wedge it in once you clip it into here. So you sort of need to position him, and then we're going to move the spring out of the way and push him down into his little slot, like the slot master he is. Nope. I need a... No! Do it. It's almost there. I remember this bit being annoying. I thought this bit was easy. Okay, we're going to move him to the side and then push him in. How does that sound? Like thus. Okay, next up. Trigger. No, yes. No, yes. Yeah, we'll put our... No. Let's put our thumb safeties on. So we need our little spring setup. So this one's also going to be a little bit tricky. When you first put your thumb safeties in, it's not really tricky per se. Same deal. This is going to flick out that top part and you need to hook it under. May help if I actually give you a focus on what we're doing. So when you put your thumb safety in, the top of the spring is just going to sit out and you need to clip him under that part of the hammer set, that notch there, which we're going to see in a sec. I do really like the design of the thumb safeties with how they function, not how they feel. I think if they're going to go, yeah, minimalist slimline, full go minimalist slimline, it's a bit too chunky for what they were trying to achieve, I think. Okay, so now we can get that little spring locked in. Like this. And now we've got tension on our thumb safeties. Off that little bow in the spring and two little curves in the actual thumb safety itself. Just I am very impressed with how that works. I think it's awesome. Okay, now we can put our trigger in. So he's just gonna sit here like a bitch for a sec, and then we're gonna get our actual trigger itself. There is a little notch there that he's gonna sit in, like so. Trigger spring will do last. So we'll put our slide lock in. Slide lock is our little bar here. God damn it. Is that going to focus? There we go. Nice. Okay. So, trigger spring. Don't know if I am a fan of this. It's just a little bit weird, but it is a lot more robust than an M9 trigger bar spring if you've disassembled an M9. It's a very robust little trigger bar spring, which as a tech, there is the stronger you can make that trigger bar spring on the M9. It is a very optimal. I don't know if I like the design per se, but it is a really strong spring, and much better than the M9 trigger bar spring. Okay, what am I forgetting here? Ooh, a little extra pin. Ooh. Try and get him in without exploding everything out. Yeah. Okay. Slide lock functions. Trigger functions. Let's clip him in. Nope. There we go. Alright, we have function. So that's your disassembly and reassembly. Obviously, taking a little longer because I am explaining everything as I go, but for a general service teardown and reassembly, get in your hole. There we go. These things are, yeah, awesome. Okay. Slide. I am going to... some thicker silicone around my piston. Pretty much all you can do to account for the fact that you're never going to get a perfect seal out of a cup piston. Man, it annoys me. I understand. Like, honestly, it is better overall. I just, as a tech, it's never going to be perfect. I'm happy replacing pistons every couple of months on super high-end systems. We tech engineers are not happy for customers to do that, which is why you get your just overall beefy as shit cup pistons. Yeah. Okay. Where's our nozzle spring, guys? I'm back. It was on the floor. I dropped it. Okay. Onwards with our assembly. One nozzle and nozzle spring. One shell ejector mabobby thingy. One dummy rear takedown screw thingamabobby. And what they've done with that is they've just given you a pin with a cutout. Jesus, god damn it. And that pin, that cutout, is just held in by a cutout on the BBU. Quite ingenious, if I say so myself. You didn't. No, it didn't fall out. Now, because I've got my super tight shell extract. There we go. But I do really like that. I'm going to say that's a, out of anything you could do to a stock device, obviously I am very OCD and every surface has to be smooth, silky smooth. Tighten that guy up if it's loose. Because not only does it tighten this up, it's also, well for me, it's holding the BBU in tighter, which overall is just giving you a better cycle, better gas efficiency. Yeah, just all around better. So let's screw that in. Boop. You know what? This is the final reassembly now that I've had a play with them. And we've done our techie video, so let's metal epoxy. No, let's put some blue on them. Yeah, I suppose that'll do. A little dab for you. A little dab for you. I don't think we'll be pulling them apart for a while. I always avoid, if I'm going to do a tech video with a device, I always avoid Loctiting them in. Just to make it a little bit easier for the pull apart for you guys. But it is so I look less like an idiot while I'm doing it. Can I don't know why I'm using this screwdriver. Can Nice and tweet. Oh. A little bit of lube on our gasket. This is something that I just don't think about every single time I pull the slide off the device. So when you put your recoil rod in, just leave this guy floating back here, push him in, clip it in, and then push this little guy in. So if you don't push that in, you're going to sit there like an idiot for like 5 minutes trying to get the slide on me. What in the world? Yeah. Like this. Oh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is WE AEG F17 F18 system, the P320. I am a convert. I think I'm actually liking this more than the G19X. Give it time. I might wind up going back to the Glonks, preferring the Glonks, but I think this system is a lot better designed and is an upgrade in pretty much, apart from how you feel about it externally, your own sort of preferences, engineering wise, in terms of gel soft, airsoft, this and the F17 are an upgrade to the G series in every single way. Every single flaw that we've seen with the G series, bar the hammer sear setup, which again is going to be typical on anything mass manufactured with slight tolerance variances, and is a very, very typical problem with G series devices. Everything in it is very, very well engineered and very, very simple for the teardown and reassembly. I really like them. I didn't want to say it at the start of the video to sort of give it away. I really was not... I do not like how the F17 looks at all. It looks weird, looks awkward and gross. And it's lower FPS on top of just looking gross. I don't mind the look. That side profile on the M18, it's growing on me. It's not quite an M9 in terms of hand feel, but you've got the advantage of it not weighing 10 kilograms and pulling your pants down trying to holster it. I look, those are my thoughts. Tell me if I'm wrong. If there's anything in the teardown that I have forgotten to go over or you wanted to see but I didn't do, let me know in the comments. I don't know. I'm going to have to play some more, but overall, I think this is a straight up Glock replacement for the most part. Yeah, so now I think these are going to be the most common magazines that we see floating around everywhere. Yeah, those are my thoughts. You guys are going to do what you do. That's your teardown. Peace.